Hello guys, Ashley here, also known as HB Sam, back here with another Cobra Kai rant. And today I'm going to talk about why I think Daniel LaRusso is severely overhated. Now, don't get me wrong, Daniel does have his flaws, and some of the flaws to me that makes me roll my eyes, honestly, are how he can be very hypocritical sometimes. Like when he tells Robbie that there's no such thing as a bad student, only a bad teacher, and how he told Sam that the kids at Cobra Kai are all bad, so like he doesn't want her to befriend them. That's obviously him just thinking that because of the whole Johnny thing, and I don't agree with him trying to make Sam not befriend anyone at Cobra Kai because of the beef he has with Johnny, which is very justified, which is something I'm going to get into. I don't know why people act so delusional towards the reasons why he don't like Cobra Kai. Like, I don't understand. I think the only way you would understand it is if you've never seen the 1984 movie. That's the only way I can explain it to you. The only way I can explain it to you. That him raising the rent on Johnny was very out of character. It was justified. I am going to say that. It was out of character, but in some way it was justified because Johnny did paint dicks on his billboard. I don't care if Johnny was drunk, not drunk, high or not high. You still did it. You don't do that for no reason and then get mad when I raise the rent. He raised the rent for a very justified reason, in my opinion. Was it out of character? Yes, which didn't want as a whole for me with Daniel, which is something I'm about to get into, but I want to talk about some of the flaws I have with him. That him raising the rent on Johnny in season 1, I was just not a fan of. Didn't like how he told Sam that everyone in Cobra Kai are all bad. Definitely make sure we think about his whole no such thing as a bad teacher, no such thing as a bad student, but a bad teacher. You can't tell your daughter that they didn't have a bad teacher. That means that they'll all turn out to be bad students, because that's not necessarily true. Because it's just not true. Miguel wasn't a bad kid. Hawk wasn't a bad kid. Aisha wasn't a bad kid. These were all kids in a circumstance of bullying, and they all wanted to learn karate to help defend themselves in some way in that circumstance. Another flaw with him that I have is that sometimes he can be a little stubborn, and he can be stuck in his own way. But I feel like when it comes, this is why with me, it's okay when a character, to me personally, I think the reason why I like Daniel so much is because he does have flaws, and I feel like when it comes to him, a lot of people they hate him because of it, with his flaws. I think it's because maybe his flaws are way too much in people's faces, unlike Johnny with people who say they like him because he don't apologize for who he is. To me, I feel that's making an excuse for someone's flaws. Just because someone doesn't apologize for who they are doesn't mean that their actions are okay. Not saying that Daniel's actions are okay. There are times when he's completely minding his own business and Johnny just fucks with him just because of it. When Daniel did tell Sam that, he told her that when he said that he wants to teach them karate so when they do face Cobra Kai, they can beat them. Like she said, I didn't want to learn karate to beat up my friends. I wanted to join karate because I wanted to gain the love for it. So that made him think about when he told Robbie that I don't want to be in the karate just to go back and forth with my old rival. I want somebody to take something from what I teach. And like, I definitely like that in season 2 with him. I don't like how the writers made him forget about Mr. Miyagi's teachings. It definitely should have not taken Daniel to go to Mr. Miyagi's grave to understand everything that Mr. Miyagi taught him about never put passion in front of principle. Never, what did he tell him in the second movie? A man without forgiveness in his heart is without, I think, misery or something. He's with misery. Like, Daniel seems to forget about all that, even though Daniel has very, very valid reasons to not just forgive Johnny or forgive Terry Silver. He has very, very valid reasons for not just forgiving them. Are we forgetting that Johnny put him through hell in the 1984 film all over a girl that either one of them ended up with? Johnny and his friends bullied him because A, Allie was interested in him, and 2, Daniel actually stuck up for himself at the beach. Johnny bullied him endlessly because of that. Tried to kill him because of that. So when Johnny is trying to, when they flip the script of season 1 and try to make it seem like, oh, his life is just so miserable because Daniel LaRusso is to blame for it. It is not Daniel's fault why you never picked yourself up out of your bootstraps and became something of your life. I understand. Some people, in a situation like that, when a tournament, like, or a big football game or something like that, like, say it's the Super Bowl and a football player loses, some of them might take that on with them for the rest of their life and feel like, I just made a big embarrassment in front of everybody on this TV. But in life, you have to learn how to persevere in some way. It doesn't come easy for everyone, I understand that, but you cannot blame people for your misery. You cannot blame people for your failures. And that's just on period. I didn't like how Johnny tried to blame Daniel for his failures and his misery. No, you're a grown-ass man. Pick yourself up out of your motherfucking bootstraps and make something of your life. Do not blame Daniel for any of that. None of it. I didn't like how they made Daniel completely unhumble. Like, that's definitely one of the biggest flaws I have with him. Like, I would say, like, in the beginning of, like, season 1-ish, like, they made him, like, a complete rich snob. Like, completely just unhumble. And I understand money changes people, but it's like, whether you make money or earn money, it doesn't have to change everybody. I feel like that's such a rich people stereotype. Like, I make money, and I'm perfectly humble. I understand where I come from, how I make my money, how I grind, and I know that I'm doing things with my money. Doesn't mean I'm just going around treating people bad because I make money. Not saying Daniel was necessarily treating people bad, but like, he didn't seem like himself. He didn't seem like his humble self, because old Daniel would have not raised the rent. Old Daniel, even if Johnny did pay for this, I feel like old Daniel probably would have handled that a lot better. I feel like him, even though it was justified him raising the rent, it was still very out of character for him to do that. And like, it was just very out of character to me. I didn't focus with that in season 1. He can be very stubborn. He can be very obsessive sometimes. Definitely, but I feel like a lot of that is because of him and Johnny. Him and Johnny were definitely very obsessed with each other. The big ring went on for way too long, in my opinion. It went on for way too long. But like, I feel like even outside of all that, that's not pretend that Daniel doesn't have any good traits. Like, he's very loyal. Yes, he be a little too self-righteous, but I like the fact that he does know what he believes in, that he does have a moral code. I like people talk about that he glazes Miyagi too much, and that he tries to be him. What is wrong with appreciating somebody who was there for you? Mr. Miyagi was a surrogate father to him. When he needed somebody, Mr. Miyagi was always there for him, for a shoulder to lean on. And you need to tell me that just because he talks about him, that it's annoying? Are you kidding me? How many times do they say no mercy in this show? How many times do they say strike hard, strike first, no mercy? How many times do they say no mercy in this show? Please tell me. Don't get me started on, don't tell me about Daniel talk about this isn't the Miyagi-Do way, or Mr. Miyagi this, Mr. Miyagi that. When they say no mercy a lot in Cobra Kai. A lot. Don't give me that. Like, some of y'all really just like, I understand you might like Johnny better, and it was obviously that they switched the roles in the show to me, that they wanted to show Johnny's perspective of what he thought happened in 1984. But to me personally, you cannot just change that perspective when everybody has seen the movie and they know what went down. Johnny lied to Miguel about what really happened that night in 1984. That was a lie. Daniel was not the bully. No, when you try to kill him and push him off the hill and all this other crap, it makes no sense for him to be a bully. And when people keep saying that was an illegal kick to the face, it was not an illegal kick to the face. It was everything above she said, no, it was not an illegal kick. If it was an illegal kick, why did Miguel use it in Cobra Kai? That was an essential strike. You can actually hit people in the face. They hit people in the face in Cobra Kai, and it's not an intentional strike. Purposely trying to hurt someone is an intentional strike. He wasn't trying to purposely hurt Johnny by kicking him in the face. It was a crane kick. It's a real karate move. Are you kidding me? Johnny tried to intentionally take him out by attacking his kneecap in the first movie. And Daniel hit him in the face in the first movie, and his nose was bleeding. There was no disqualification in that, because anything, you can do that. That's karate is kicking, hitting. That makes no sense for you to say that's an illegal strike when it's kicking, hitting, striking, all of that. It's part of what we do. As long as you don't try to intentionally hurt someone, it doesn't make sense for you to say that it was an illegal kick. I'm so tired of people saying it was an illegal crane kick. Me personally, I just really love Daniel. I just really love Ralph Macchio. Since I've got into the movie, I just really love him as an actor. Is he the best actor that I've watched? No, but I really do like him. I wouldn't say he's like a top 10 actor for me. If I had to make like a top 10, a top 15 is even huge for me because I haven't seen every actor in the world. But just to say, if I did have to make a top 15 list, he would be on it. I really do like Ralph Macchio. I feel like when I watch the Karate Kid movies, they're just really big on me as a person now since I got into them. And I feel like it was the writer's intention on making him and somewhat like this bad person, like them really trying to intentionally flip the script and make him into this bad person. But yeah, like I feel like he got his flaws just like every other character in the show. But I feel like with every other character, it's like a slap on the wrist, especially with Johnny. Like no one ever talks about how his morality changed a lot in the first 2 seasons. How about the fact that he intentionally told that he knew that Miguel just got right out of a paralyzing situation and he still had Miguel do karate? Like, that's being selfish just because you didn't want to lose in the tournament. That was selfish. How about the fact that he always chose Miguel over Robbie in every situation, all the time. In the season 3 episode when him and Daniel were looking for Robbie, and when they got into that fight at the chop shop, where did Johnny go? Instead of Johnny going to go find Robbie, he went to the hospital to go be with Miguel. Like, there are a lot of times when Johnny is a complete douche and like he's a very hot-headed person. A lot of people say that Daniel's hot-headed. I never really saw it that way. I've always saw him as kind of like obsessive, that when something is under his skin, he kind of gets obsessed with it. He kind of can't let it go. He kind of gets on a warpath. But with Johnny, I feel like people just kind of forget that he can be a hothead and that he can be really short-tempered and that he makes a lot of excuses for a lot of his shortcomings. He kind of always trying to blame the next person for his actions instead of blaming himself. Like, I don't like that. But let's talk about Dan. Let's talk about some of the things that I feel like the writers try to intentionally do. And like, I want to talk about that first because I really want to get off my chest. Season 1 especially, I really feel like they flipped the script in season 1 to make it seem like Daniel was this big bad bully to Johnny just because it switched. And they completely forget in the show that Johnny came for money. I don't care if it was your stepdaddy, your stepmama, your daddy, your mommy. You came for money. Period. Your stepdaddy has money. Period. They completely forget that Johnny just came for money. They completely forget that. Completely forget about that Johnny came for money. I don't like how they made Daniel be like this unhumble snob, rich snob. I don't like that. A lot of things that he did in season 1 were very out of character. Not a lot of things. A lot of things that he did do, I was kind of like on his side. Like when a lot of people got mad that he tried to keep Cobra Kai out of the All Valley tournament. You mean after Johnny gave him some bullshit reason for why he wanted to join the tournament? It was never about helping the kids in season 1. Not until, like, I would say, like, later on. Not until he actually really started caring about Miguel. It was never about helping kids. It was about his old rival with Daniel. He opened up Cobra Kai to get underneath Daniel's skin because he couldn't handle the fact that Daniel made something out of himself after the 1984 tournament. So here he is blaming another man for why he came up short in his life. Are you kidding me? Really? Okay. To me, I don't understand why everybody's acting so delusional about why Daniel doesn't have clear reasons for why he doesn't want Cobra Kai to open. This is the same guy who bleeded him. I'm going to keep saying that. I don't give a fuck who gets angry. I don't care. I don't care what anybody has to say. This is my opinion. My opinion. And it's a clear double standard between him and Johnny. I've already expressed it, but I can express it again in here. He has very, very valid reasons. This is the same man who bullied him endlessly over a girl that he never ended up with. Are you kidding me? Are you serious? He never once apologized for the bullying. I don't think in all seasons on the show he ever apologized for it. I guess you could say when Allie came, it was like, I guess a part of this is my fault too. I'm trying to have a hard time understanding what part Daniel really plays in that. I'm going to keep saying that. Because to me, I find it very delusional for people to sit here and say that he was the real bully, he tried to take away his girl, which is not fully true. Johnny and Allie were done. She wanted nothing to do with him when he came on the beach. She said it a whole bunch of times. Me personally, him coming onto her after she said no a lot of times, that's kind of like sexual harassment. But people don't want to get there. People think I'm jumping the shark, but that's kind of sexual harassment. When a girl says no and she doesn't want to talk to you, you leave her alone. Period. You don't keep egging her on or break her radio to give her a reason to talk to you. Where the fuck we do that at? But in season 1 a lot, I definitely feel like they were really trying to make Daniel into like this very bad guy. I never bought it when I watched it because it was a good thing that I did watch, because right after I finished season 6 with my sister, I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch the Karate Kid movies first before I watch Cobra Kai from the beginning. When I watched the Karate Kid movies, and then when I got into Cobra Kai season 1, I'm just thinking like, I'm having a hard time understanding how they really want to flip the script and make Daniel into this big bad bully. And to me, to this bad person, this bad guy. And the reason why I could think that was because he was rich. Like, I understand that money changes people, like I said, but it doesn't need to change everyone. Like I said, it honestly felt like they kind of made Daniel lose his way. As much as I do love the scene with Miss Miyagi at his grave, and like he did become different, and he did learn to get back into karate, because karate saved him. And I think when he lost that part of himself, he disconnected himself from Miss Miyagi, he lost who he was a little bit. So I did like the fact that he did regain that in season 1, and that he did build a relationship with Robbie, and that he had his way of how karate should be. He was never taught strike first, strike hard, and no mercy. Johnny was never taught the spiritual side of karate. That is actual karate. But when Miss Miyagi teach, they were never taught that. So I could understand them both being stubborn sometimes. I get it, but sometimes I feel like it egged way too long with them. It egged on way too long. There were times where Daniel completely was minding his business, and Johnny would fuck with him. I'll give you an example. In season 2, actually, there's a lot of examples in season 2. When they crashed the dojo, yes, Johnny might have not been behind it, but students in his class still came there and crashed his dojo after he was completely minding his own business. It was fucked up for them to do that, to me, in my opinion, and messed up. For Hawk to take Miss Miyagi's medal, and for Hawk to spray paint on the car that Miss Miyagi got him, it was essentially to hurt Daniel. And he didn't even strike back after that. He didn't. He did nothing about that. Even when Robbie and Sam asked him what we're going to do about it, he said nothing. We're not going to do anything about it. He told them when he came to the dojo, when he confronted Johnny about it, that if you want to, like you said, a sensei elevates, a sensei mentors, a sensei doesn't teach destruction and disrespect. Especially when I've been minding my own motherfucking business, you come to my motherfucking dojo and disrespect mine? How would the fact when he was minding his own business when they were doing their own performance in the, I think it was Valley Fest? A lot of people say it was a boring performance. I don't care about any of that. I don't care. They were doing their own thing, and Johnny came there because he was mad about Daniel having free lessons. It's not like you still have students. So what are you mad about kids not coming to Cobra Kai? What are you still mad about? Compared to how many students Daniel had to you, you're really worried about losing kids? Daniel had only Sam and Robbie at that point. You have a whole bunch of kids in the dojo, and you worried about kids coming here when you still have a whole bunch of kids here? It was petty. It was petty for Johnny to do it, and it was out of line in my opinion. There were a whole bunch of times when Daniel was minding his own business, and Johnny fucked with him. And then Johnny would blatantly act like he didn't know why the fuck they were having problems. Like in episode 9, he talked about, oh, I don't know what you're talking about there. Like, you knew exactly. Now, did Johnny think that things was going to be, did he think that, how to explain this? did did Johnny think that John Kreese was going to manipulate his students and try to gaslight their minds? I don't think so. I think Johnny was really hoping that John Kreese would change and become a different person for him to join the dojo. I believe that, but I completely could understand why Daniel was just like, how can you be so naive to let him back into your life? Like Johnny said, I thought he could change. There's nothing wrong with thinking that, because, you know, Daniel definitely had his naive moments. Like, I think the one that sticks out the most to me is, like, it was weird in season 6. Like, I could understand that Miss Miyagi was somebody that he definitely put on a pedestal. And even in the Karate Kid movies, Miss Miyagi is someone who never really shows any flaws, but nobody is perfect. He was kind of written as like this man who just had all the answers. He had all this wisdom and all this knowledge inside of him. He was such a great mentor. But on some extent, Daniel could not be that naive to not know that some people are just not perfect. That Miss Miyagi had a life before he met you. He definitely had a life. But Miss Miyagi told Daniel that in the Karate Kid movies that he didn't fight in a tournament. So that was a lie. I feel like, I think for other people, they don't see from Daniel's side of that situation. I do think it was naive on his part to think that Miss Miyagi had no flaws. But I think what we often understand is that their relationship was kind of, I don't want to say built on a lie, that's a really strong word, but it was built on some half-truths. I'll say that. Miss Miyagi told him that he never fought in tournaments, that he didn't believe in fighting in tournaments, only to find out that he did fight in tournaments, and that it was different back then. Some people got killed back then because of it, and that's why they had to change some of the rules. They had to change some of the rules a little bit back then. Yeah, I get that. I could definitely understand that, but I feel like a lot of people just didn't see it from his side a little bit. But I could definitely understand that he was naive on that part of not thinking that Miyagi had flaws. But you have to also understand that Miyagi lied about not doing tournaments. He said he didn't believe in tournaments, and he lied about that. So I could definitely understand Daniel wanted to understand why he did lie. And like the scenes in season 6 about him trying to understand Miss Miyagi's past was, to me, really great character stuff. Like, I don't care what anyone says, I thought it was really great character stuff. Just Daniel just trying to understand all of it, and then him eventually understanding it. I just thought it was really great. To me, I enjoyed it. There are a lot of people who say how come Amanda didn't leave him after he was just so obsessed with karate, everything like that. To me, I feel like, how does Amanda not know about any of this stuff that Daniel went through? She never, it's like she didn't know about any of this. It's like she didn't know about Johnny. It's like she didn't know who Johnny was. It's like she didn't know who Terry Silver was, John Kreese. It's like, did Daniel not tell her about any of this stuff? Because, like, to me, I could understand her being frustrated. I could understand, like, the situation with, like, Robbie and, like, Sam in the school. I could understand her feeling like, okay, maybe it's time to take a break from it. But I don't think Daniel was a bad teacher. He never taught Robbie aggression. I think with Robbie, it was just that in that moment, in that fight, it was just adrenaline. I don't think his intention was to kill Miguel. I mean, I feel like Miguel trying to show mercy in that very moment was just, it was very bad. No one's done wear the white flag in this situation, in this fight, when it's so deep and we're so full of adrenaline. You were talking shit, I'm talking shit, I just found out that you kissed my girlfriend. We're way past white flags. So it's like, I don't think Robbie's intention was to kill him, but I definitely think all that adrenaline and everything, it drove him to pick Miguel off that ledge. But I don't think Daniel was ever a bad teacher. I do think on some extent Johnny was, because in the very beginning he was teaching them all the wrong stuff. Everything that he was teaching them came from bitterness and revenge. And then when John Kreese came, he changed his morality. He realized that, the things that he was teaching them, it wasn't right. It was foul. That's not. You can be a badass, but you don't have to essentially hurt people in a fight. You don't have to treat it like it's combat. You don't have to do that. And like I definitely understood that with him. I definitely understood it, but I just wish they wouldn't change his morality so many times. It's just like stick with one thing, Johnny. God damn, the fuck. And I'm so tired of people also saying that he was never taught any good or bad. You're grown. You're a grown ass man at the end of the day. Learn right from wrong. Period. No one should teach you how to make good decisions or bad decisions. Are you kidding me? You're grown. Be grown. What was I saying about? What was I just saying about Daniel? Oh, the Amanda thing. To me, it was just insane to me that Amanda didn't know about any of this. I can understand her taking a break because in that very moment, after she told Daniel to not interact with Terry Silver, here he is again being very, very obsessive, and he couldn't let it go, which I really understand. You show up here to purposely fuck with me, and he let Terry do it. He let Terry fuck with him. But people like us saying on Terry Silver's part, it was very, very obsessive to do something like that. I can understand her feel like she had to get away from him in that very moment because it was her big day, and he was being very obsessive, and he decided to push him. I definitely get it, but I feel like on some extent Amanda should have been a little bit more understanding of where Daniel was coming from, in my opinion. Even though he did mess it up, she should have been more understanding about the situations with Terry. It shouldn't have taken her cousin to tell her about what he went through. Like, that's ridiculous. You're his wife. You should know these things. You should be having his back. You should be having his back. And, like, I just feel like Amanda was just, she never knew about any of this stuff. And, like, that just always bothered me. How did she not know about any of this stuff? Like, it never made sense to me. How did she not know about any of this? Like, seriously, man, how did you not know about any of the shit that he went through? Did Daniel not tell you this when y'all got married? Another thing, too, about Daniel that irritates me. He treats Sam like this perfect little angel. Sam can do no wrong in his eyes, and I don't understand why him and Amanda don't hold her accountable for any of her actions. Like, I don't get it. It's very, very annoying to me. Like, I don't understand why she's never held accountable for her actions. Like, the way that she talks to them sometimes. When she told Amanda, and you couldn't think Christ problem, you're clearly not paying attention. Like, it's the back talking, it's the hair rolling, it's the brattiness, it's everything. It's annoying to me. I don't like it. When she tried to blame Daniel for why him and Johnny got into it, it's like, you can't understand that both of them are in the wrong. They're both in the wrong. For Johnny to make it all about the 1984 fight instead of trying to come together and make it work, it was very, very petty. And he was only mad because him and Miguel were growing a relationship. It's like, Johnny, you're not a child anymore. Tell me how you're feeling. I mean, and Daniel was wrong too for trying to say he basically wanted to take over all the karate training. That was completely wrong. Completely wrong. Absolutely. But I think what bothers me is that people try not to see, just because Daniel is the one who brought it up, they try not to see that him and Johnny wanted either one or both of them to have it their way. Which, it didn't make sense to me because before episode 5, him and Johnny were doing absolutely good. They were both doing their own thing. Daniel would train over here, Johnny would train over there, and the kids will learn both. Like, I just don't understand episode 5 at all as a episode. I think it is absolutely absurd. I don't like how the writers try to make it seem like it's all just Daniel, and not Johnny. It is clearly a double standard between him and Johnny, and I don't like it. To me, it just seems like Johnny could do no wrong. Johnny is the lovable, entertaining, laughing guy who leaves sarcastic jokes, and he's too old to understand anything going on with society. And Daniel is like the rich Miyagi-Do car shop guy. Like, I just don't get it. I don't understand why there's so much double standard. I don't understand why the show wants you to like one over the other. I like them both. I really do. I like them both. Do I think Johnny had more stronger character development? Absolutely, because it was from his perspective. They decided to change it, and to me, that was just my biggest problem when I got into season 2. It just felt like, why keep all these characters on if you're just going to make it into the Johnny show? Because I'll tell y'all why. They knew that this show wasn't going to sell if Rock Macchio wasn't a part of it. And I don't care what any of y'all say. They knew that this show wouldn't sell if Rock Macchio wasn't a part of it. He is the star of the karate franchise, whether you like it or not. He is the star of it. He is the reason why you like the Karate Kid. I'm not upset about them trying to give Johnny more as a person and anything like that. I'm not upset about that, but to me it just feels like, why keep Daniel here if he's going to favor one over the other? Like, it was insane to me that Daniel didn't have a really, well, me in season 1 really, I would say in the beginning, a lot of his storylines dealt with the dealership. It wasn't until he met Robbie where they gave him the karate stuff, and I did enjoy that, but I still feel like to some extent it shouldn't have not taken that long. Like, okay, he runs a car business. Tell me something else. Like, seriously, like, really? It was just blatantly favoritism. Blatantly favoritism with him and Johnny. I feel like the whole show was just blatantly favoritism. The fact that Daniel just seemed to be wrong at every situation to me is delusional and ludicrous, in my opinion. I definitely, I definitely think season 1 is what really bothered me with his character, how they wrote him. In season 4, episode 5, I just didn't like the whole shit with him and Johnny. I thought it was just ridiculous. Really, really absurd. Other than that, I feel like season 1 Daniel is the season that irritates me the most because of how they really wrote him. But I feel like everything after that, I really enjoyed Daniel. Like, I am enjoying him a little bit in season 1. I just don't like the writing. But I really do enjoy Daniel in the show, to me personally. It's okay to like Johnny. I don't care. But there's a lot of times in the show where Johnny's doing a whole lot of nothing. Like, honestly, I feel like I understand that the whole family thing was a big part of him, but I feel like that got like way too much that it kind of just felt like Johnny don't get no other storylines outside of him and Carmen and the family stuff. It was just like, I'd like to see Johnny do something else outside of him being with Carmen, because I don't care about the relationship at all. I really don't. But with Daniel, I feel like when it comes to his traits, I feel like a lot of people are overlooking, how about the fact that he took Robbie in? How about the fact that he took Robbie in and pretty much became like a whole surrogate father to him? How about the fact that like the writers completely like squished on him and Robbie? They squished that entire partnership, like that entire what am I looking for with him and Robbie? That dynamic is what I'm trying to say. They squashed on that entire dynamic between him and Robbie very, very hard. It was so strong in the first 2 seasons that I absolutely loved it. They had really great chemistry, and I was looking forward for it to go a little bit more in the show. But right after season 2, the writers said, fuck that. Even though Daniel got him into juvenile detention to give him less days so he could get out early, if people forget about all of this, people just forget about all the good stuff that he does. How about the fact that he let Johnny and he let all the kids from Cobra Kai that he thought were all bad come to his dojo and like agree to work with Johnny? Like, people just seem to not think about that. There are a lot of people who say that Johnny has to always adapt to his way, but they never adapt to his. That's not entirely true, because there's like a whole episode where him and Daniel both adapt to their karate. And how about the rest of the series? Him and Johnny work perfectly great with what they both learn. So that don't make sense for you to say that. Maybe at first, yes. And I would say like the first episode they were both struggling on trying to make both of their karates work together, yes. But to just say that Johnny has to always work around Miyagi-Do is just not entirely true, because Daniel's trying to understand aggression just as much as Johnny is trying to understand the balance of karate and planting your feet and letting the person come to you. They both were trying to learn. How about the fact that he let all these kids join his dojo, that he was there for kids like Hawk, Dimitri, Robbie, Sam. He did so much for a lot of these kids, and like I feel like people just forget about that. What else? How about the fact that he got Robbie's mom into rehab, paying for her rehab bills? Like so many things. He let Chosen back into his life, and he even let Chosen stay with him for a while. Like Chosen was there for him, helping him get back on his feet when everything was going on in season 5. Like people are seem to forgetting about all of this stuff that he has. Like I honestly love the fact that he has his morality in check. Yes, can he be a little hypocritical towards some of the things that he believes in? Like when he told Robbie about no such thing as a bad student, only a bad teacher. Because if he honestly believed that, he wouldn't be so hard on Johnny. But I feel like a part of that is only not just about that, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that Johnny did bully him over a girl that he did not end up with, and he never apologized for it. Never apologized for bullying Daniel over a girl that he never ended up with. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no one ever talks about the good shit that he does. Like, how about the fact that he did make his dojo free to kids to learn karate whenever they want to learn his style. That like even other kids who came from Cobra Kai, like he welcomed them in open arms. Are you kidding me? Yeah, but he's just like this terrible person, this annoying, self-righteous person. I just feel like it's ridiculous to me. I feel like Daniel has done so many good things in the show. Does he have his flaws? Yes. I feel like there are a lot of things that irritate me about the writing that they do. Yes, but I absolutely love Daniel, and I think, like I said, a lot of it comes from the fact that I did watch the Karate Kid movies. So when you see a character after 30 years, I'm not saying, like the dude said, that you expect him to stay the same way that he was 30 years ago. It's like I don't expect him to act out of character. I don't care about him changing and becoming a different person and having a job and having kids. I'm not saying I have a problem with that, but what I necessarily have a problem with is him acting out of character, him not being himself. That's what I have a problem with. And like, it was really, really annoying. And I think the reason why a lot of people don't make excuses for Johnny is because people kind of expect this out of Johnny. People kind of expect him to act hot-headed and sarcastic and like a douchebag. But I feel like just because you expect that, that's an excuse for his flaws. That's an excuse for his character traits, and like that's stupid to me. This is nothing new. Double standards between characters and only acknowledging one character's flaws over the other or multiple characters' flaws over the other is nothing new when it comes to shows. If honestly, when it comes to shows like this is what kind of tunes me out a lot, is when they try to blatantly tell you, oh, this character is so bad, but the other one is just a devilish, it's just an edgeless saint. I've seen it so many times. In Degrassi, it's a parallel between Emma and Manny. Emma, her flaws are always pointed out, but Manny is just like this angel. She doesn't do anything wrong. And One Tree Hill, Lucas and Peyton, they are so devilified, while people like Brooke and Nathan, for example, are never wrong. They're never wrong about anything. Their flaws are always seem to be swept underneath the rug. It's absurd to me. Very, very absurd. I don't know if there's any parallels about this in the OC. I'm not sure, because Ryan and Zeph were really tight, and Summer and Marissa were very tight. There was never really no friction between them, really. What else could I think of? And Gossip Girl. Honestly, I feel like, me personally, I'm a Blair stan. I'm gonna always stan Blair. Morning, night, years, weeks, days. I'm going to always stand Blair. But a lot of people feel like there's a difference between Blair and Serena. And me personally, I feel like Serena is a fake ass bitch. Serena is she's a liar. She's a jealous ass bitch. She's self-conceited. She never wants to see nobody else make it. No, I don't think there's a double standard, because I feel like people, you have your own reasons to not like the character. I get that. But to me, I don't understand how anyone could defend Serena. How anybody can defend it. The reason why I can defend Peyton is because, unlike Serena, it wasn't purposely trying to hurt anybody. But Serena, listen, the Nate situation and Gossip Girl, I don't care if her and Nate were drunk. I feel like a part of her knew that Nate had a thing for her, and she kind of entertained it. And when she stuck with Dan in season 5, that was intentional. That was on purpose. She wanted to purposely hurt Blair. So to me, there is no double standard between her and Blair. In Vampire Diaries, there's a double standard between Damon and Stefan, without a doubt. I'm definitely going to get to that when I get to Vampire Diaries. There's definitely a double standard between Damon and Stefan. People just treat Damon like he's just this guy who's been through the ringer and he's just been so mistreated. Catherine didn't love him. His mommy left him. His daddy abused him. As if Damon wasn't mentally and physically abusing women, as if he wasn't essaying women, as if he wasn't preying on a young Caroline and essaying her and mentally abusing her, taking his own anger and frustration out on women. As if Damon wasn't doing this shit. And I'm not saying that Stefan ain't got his flaws. The things that he did in the past, definitely not cool. But I feel like Stefan made up for it every single day by trying to be there for people and trying to be loyal. Unlike Damon, there is definitely a double standard between Damon and Stefan. And I definitely think it's because Damon is a pretty privileged character. And they want you to feel bad for him when he is someone that I clearly just can't feel bad for. He never apologizes for his mistakes. He never takes any accountability for his mistakes. I just can't with Damon. And here we are now. In Pretty Little Liars, I'm not sure if there's any double standards in Pretty Little Liars. I honestly, my favorite characters are Spencer and Hannah, really. I liked Emily in the first 2 seasons a lot. But I feel like after like season 1 and 2, Emily got really boring to me as a character. I feel like they really limited Shay Mitchell's acting down. Like they really downgraded it. They didn't really give her much to work with. I really liked Lucy Hale. Like I really liked Aria a lot in the first 2 seasons. I know like people said that she was like not that interesting and like she was kind of boring. But honestly, I feel like everyone could sympathize with Aria's situation with her parents and that stuff. I think that the situation with Aria was that her character was so limited by her relationship with Ezra that it just made it so impossible for them to give Aria anything outside of Ezra, just anything. I absolutely love Hannah and Spencer a lot. I feel like they were very complex. I feel like that the writers always tried to give them something to help their characters develop a little bit more. And like here we are in Cobra Kai with Johnny and Daniel. Like it's like no matter what Daniel does, it's always seen as annoying. I didn't realize that having a morality and being self-righteous about things that you want to do makes you annoying. But take a guy like Johnny, who is sometimes he's a douche. He's very sarcastic, can be an asshole, but he does have a good heart. But his moralities change every single time. How about the fact that that some of the things that he does, that some of the shit that he does towards Daniel is just never seen as a big deal. Never ever seen as a big deal to me. The fact that he purposely crashed the performance in season 2 to get back at him about him opening up a free dojo, that doesn't seem like a big deal. Him spray painting the dicks on his face wasn't a big deal. None of it. Even though Daniel gave him a free car, and he gave him a free car in season 1, he didn't even tell the authorities that he stole another car in season 3. None of that. Please. And Daniel was just this bad guy. He didn't have to give Johnny no free car. Are you fucking kidding me? I had to give you nothing just because my cousin blew it up. I didn't have to give you a free car. I really didn't. He didn't want to. Amanda talked him into it. He didn't really want to because he had nothing to do with his car being on fire, which I completely understand. I had nothing to do with it. But Amanda talked him into it, and he still gave Johnny a free car. So, like, period. To me, to end this video off, it just seems like whenever Johnny does something, it's just never seen as a big deal because he's more likable. And that's pretty much what I'm trying to get at when it comes to these double standards, is that just because you like one character over the other doesn't mean they're without their flaws. I personally like Daniel a lot more, and that's because I was really interested in seeing his journey. I was just kind of tired of the show being about Johnny. I was kind of over it, really. Like, by, like, the second season, I was just thinking, like, I'm getting kind of frustrated. Like, if they don't start giving characters other shit to do outside of Johnny, I'm going to stop watching the show. And then when season 3 happened, I was so happy because they finally tried to give other characters something to do. Like Hawk, Hell, even characters like Dimitri, who I don't like, at least Dimitri has something. At least Sam has something. Robbie, Daniel, Miguel, like at least these other characters had something to do outside of it being the Johnny show. I got really, really tired of that. It got really, really annoying. So to me, I feel like Daniel is really overhated because of his flaws and that he isn't perfect and that everything he does and say is just seems to be really annoying. People also saying about his dialogue is so long, it's so cheesy. And personally, I love that. I like that. His dialogue reminds me a lot of Miss Nagi. It's very wise. It's full of wisdom. And like really, you gonna say he got long ass dialogue compared to people like Sam and Dimitri, who I just feel like that their sentences never seem to end. Like just shush, or like shush, just shush. To me, Daniel is completely overhated, and I feel like Ralph Macchio was way too good for this show for them to be writing Daniel like this, in my opinion, because they knew without Ralph Macchio, the show wouldn't sell. They knew the show wouldn't have made it to Netflix if it wasn't for him. If he didn't agree to it, they knew the show would have never been made, and that is on period. I don't care if you're saying, oh my God, you're trying to make Ralph Macchio seem like this, the narcissistic person. No, it's very true. And he's even mentioned a couple of times that when the show came out, they weren't going to make it unless he was on board with it. It's not a narcissistic thing. He's the person behind the Karate Kid. I would say Cobra Kai is honestly one of the best reboots I've ever seen. It does have its problems, don't get me wrong, which is something I am going to make a list about and do a video about. It does have its problems. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like out of a lot of reboots that I have seen, it was done way better. Unlike shows like the Gossip Girl reboot, which was done very, very awful, in my opinion. All the Walking Dead reboots done very, very awful. Like, I would say it's honestly one of the most decent reboots that I have seen in my life. Like movies included, I would say it was way better than half the movies that I have seen that have been reboots. That's just what I wanted to say. I really had to make a video about this because I honestly couldn't rest unless I talked about it. And I felt like it was just building up. And even like this girl on Reddit said it, like, I don't understand why Daniel is so hated when he does something it's annoying, but when Johnny does it, it's like hooray. And it's just like, it's definitely like that with him. So, let me know how you guys feel in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.